That would be an ecumenical matter.
Hello and welcome to Ecumenical Matters, the Father Ted podcast. We're up to episode 24 now, the very last regular season episode, so we've made it. We've got there in the end.
Yay! 24!
24 episodes. So we still got a Christmas episode to go, and then I'm going to do a wrap-up episode as well, so that's what's coming up soon.
So we're not the grand finale?
Yous aren't quite the grand finale, no.
Are we, is this like an audition for the grand finale?
Well, I
mean, if it
was
had
wondering
to
how
be,
to do it.
I mean, when you said it was episode 24 of season 3, I kind of...
Yeah, well, you get
certain suppositions
the last
where it might have
episode.
been made.
Well, you get the grand finale of the show, which is surely much better.
Okay, yeah. All right. I'm all right. It was the grand finale of the proper show, of
Yeah.
the main show.
yeah, exactly, which
Yeah.
is significant. I mean, because
is.
there's like the montage at the end.
I know. It's
Yeah.
made me weep nearly.
It nearly made me weep as well, but we'll get there.
We'll
get there.
We'll get to that point. But this is season 3, episode 8, Going to America. And the two voices you've heard there are Muireann McGinty, an actor, writer and producer, and Dee Harvey, writer and producer. And I've just found out, before we got on the mic here, that these are both actually writers together. I didn't even realise you knew each other, but there you go. So, what are you working on then? What have you written before?
We've written loads of stuff, like on the backs of menus and napkins and text messages.
Nice.
We've written loads of like joint composition of text messages a lot.
Really angry ones? Like,
and joyful ones.
Oh, cool.
Confused?
going into a 5th page, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, but we worked together originally on something completely separate, and then we just started chatting one day and started writing together.
Started writing together.
And
drinking and eating peanuts.
Yeah, which
And
is
writing.
which is the
inspiration.
the genesis of our partnership. And then we wrote a few different things. We've written a few short films, and we've written a couple of like sitcom pilots and that kind of thing.
Cool.
And yeah, it's kind of it's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress, exactly.
Well, cool. And and we've all worked together previously in the last week, actually, at the McCracken sketch show. You were there, Muireann. How did you find that?
I was there. It was great. It went down a storm. We got a really good audience, didn't we?
Yes, it did. Yes, and your acting was fantastic.
And my acting was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, James's was like a little bit sketchy, but I mean, we all...
It was a sketch show.
It was a sketch
show, so I suppose it's fair enough. But we all just like, held it together. But no, it was great. It was great. It was really good. I think it was because, I don't know if you had described the premise of the show before.
Yeah. It's just a madcap little sort of League of Gentlemen type town in rural Northern Ireland.
That's it. But it was good for, I think, because of the fact that like a lot of different people had written the different sketches, for them to hear them out loud and on their feet, because so much of the time people write things in isolation, in a corner of a room in the dark.
Yeah.
And
This is my workstation, or alternative, my more productive one is over the Wetherspoons across the road.
Very good. Well, it's good when you do your writing on Wetherspoons, then when you hear it out loud from other people's
Yes, exactly.
voices and that kind of thing. So it was great.
Oh, very good. Well, as I said, we've got a few parish notes in the parish bulletin. I said the last regular episode. But I went to a Father Ted quiz on Thursday evening. And,
Did you smash
win?
it?
Well, I don't know. I went with the distinct purpose of going there just to make my team name Ecumenical Matters, the Father Ted podcast. So I get all these Father Ted fans to find out about it.
Yeah.
But the guy never read out the scores. He only read out the winners and the runners-up. So he didn't win.
I went to a quiz like that once. It's so boring
Yeah.
because like the whole point is that that even if you didn't win, that you came 1 point ahead of somebody else.
Yeah,
And exactly.
You
So
find your rival team.
Exactly. So you know who your enemies are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that is like denying you the experience of the battle.
Well, yeah,
So
exactly.
we just read them out at the end. That's more like doing a test.
Not even all the scores, just the winner and the runners-up. So.
Awful.
But it's the QUB quiz society.
But how was it? Was it good? So you didn't win.
Well, yeah, there's a few questions I completely forgot the answers to. And anyone who's been listening to the podcast knows I've got a really, really bad memory. I was looking for a very
poor recall.
Yes,
that's
yes.
it. Not total recall.
So even the episode which I was editing today, the Owen McLove episode, there was questions from that, and I couldn't even remember them, even though it was actually only recorded it last week.
Oh,
So
Jesus. Just sometimes when you're so close to something.
and it's just right there.
You know?
It's just right there. But what positive come out of it? The room was full of 19 and 20-year-old students, and they were all massive fans of Fatherhead. So clearly, it is officially now intergenerational.
Oh,
yeah.
It's gone down in the ages now because some of these people weren't even born when Fatherhead started. Like so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
my
you think about
God.
that? Like it's 21 years since it started.
What's the episode with the baby in the box? Is it part of the Christmas episode where there's like the baby on the doorstep?
It must be the Christmas episode.
I think it's maybe the Christmas episode. But that baby was like the middle child of the family who owned the house.
Ah, right.
Yeah, and she is now, like in her, she's like 18 or 19.
Oh my
so
God.
you know,
It's
or maybe she's even 20. I don't know.
It's
but
going to be like the Nirvana baby. It's just
Yeah.
going to be wheeled out every 5 years, and it's like, oh, here she is
Yeah.
now.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's like you've obviously been down to the house and you know
I
where it
haven't
is.
actually, no.
You've
No.
really,
But we had a married couple who went on their honeymoon to the house. Yes, which was quite cool.
very good because you know that they do this thing where you can come and you can have like tea there, you know, and buns and that kind of thing, you know, when you book in and the lady of the house, she
She'll
you know
make
puts
you
this
tea,
on,
yeah.
yeah, and it's it's brilliant, and I mean it's just like absolutely full of super fans, and it's a way for them to you know make something of the fact that people go there
Yeah.
as like a site of pilgrimage. And now I've been there 2 or 3 times, and I've like not even a couple of times where I've been there not near the house, and I've seen people go up and you know stand outside and all that kind of thing, and it's such a double-edged sword. It's quite a catch-22 for them
Yeah,
because
yeah, they
you know
can't do anything about the
exactly
fact
they
that the house is
know
like that.
they know what it is. You know, it's this piece of like popular cultural heritage, but it's also their home.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and there's like a constant audience there, whether it's like a hen party or you know tourists who are over from South Africa or you know
right, well,
yeah. So
do people go past the gate,
oh yeah, people do go past the gate. And
right up
people-
to the windows? Like that is
well,
a bit invasive.
there are
honestly.
people who will be that intrusive, despite the fact that there is a sign at the gate that says, you know, please respect, you know, private property or whatever. And some people will just like take a photo from the road and like, you know, move on or whatever.
Oh, well, I
but-
have seen people on Facebook with like, you know.
yeah,
from the road in
yeah.
front of the
But
statue.
I just think you know it's quite a difficult tightrope for them to walk sometimes.
Well, I mean, if they
But
really
but
wanted
it's
to-
just it's huge. I mean, it's there on Google Maps. You know, you put in Father Ted's house, and it, wherever you are in the world, it will bring you to it.
Well,
So
yeah. Well, if they wanted to stop it, I mean, they could paint the house or something and just make it not as quite as
Make it look
appealing.
different.
Yeah.
yeah,
But you know, you wouldn't want to do that. Like
no.
it's,
I'm like, why should they have to?
Exactly. But a few other wee things. Motherland, the Graham Linehan series that I mentioned before, has actually been picked up for a full series. Did you actually get to watch it?
No.
Yes, I did. I saw it.
It's fantastic. It really was brilliant.
So you're not allowed to have your own opinion on it when you see it?
No. No, well, I saw the trailers for it and I was like, that's like my whole life. I just don't want to watch a thing about being stressed bringing your kids to school.
Oh, it gets worse than that. She keeps gathering up other people's children over the course of the day. Like it's one day, and I didn't think I would like it because it's about motherhood and stuff. And
Really? Why did you think that?
Why did I think I wouldn't
Just
like
because you thought you wouldn't like it just because it was about motherhood?
Well, I thought it wouldn't really appeal to. I wouldn't have anything to relate to, but it did.
Even though you have a mother.
Yeah, but I wasn't that stressful for her. I hope. But no, it was brilliant. It had Philomena Conk in it as well. I forget her actual name, but she's always been known as Philomena Conk.
Who's she?
She was the ginger-haired one who.
Oh yeah,
She had this great moment where
she like, oh, you about to spoil it for Dee?
No, it's just one joke. Like the main character comes into her flat because all her friends have sort of abandoned her, and she comes into her flat, and the Philomena Conk just opens the cupboard and just in one quick movement just catches a cup that's falling out and thinks nothing of it. It's just like a little moment that was brilliant. But the other thing is. Bits of an insider one. I do this thing called Meet Your Maker. It's a feature where I count the cameos by Graham and Arthur. And apparently I missed one in episode 1. And thank you to the Ash Preston on Twitter for pointing out that I missed that. So the score is now 7-5 to Arthur. But it doesn't change the result, but I just had to clarify for
there we
people.
go.
So Yeah.
Good. To keep on top of that.
Exactly. Don't ever say I'm not honest in this podcast or can't take criticism.
We like to deal in factual accuracy.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Exactly. Well, we'll get into the episode then, and we'll start off by going to the title, which is called "Going to America," which I believe is a parody of "Coming to America," the 1988 Eddie Murphy film, which I have not seen. Have any of you seen it?
Yes.
Is it any good? Is it worth a recommendation?
I think it was one of the like lesser Eddie Murphy 80s films. Like I don't think it's not Beverly Hills Cop.
No, it's not Beverly Hills Cop, but it's a little bit kind of like
it's not like the
cult
one where
classic-y.
he brings a child to somewhere. It's not like that one.
No.
It's okay.
Well, that's where the title came from anyway. It's just that the titles up until season 3 were all very nondescript and very difficult to actually ascertain which episode you're chatting about. Because the racism episode, the title is "Are You Right There, Father Ted?" So it's like if you saw that on the list, you would know that was the racism episode. Like so. At least this one was a bit more descriptive, and it's about obviously Ted gets invited to go out to America, and we'll chat about that. But we open up in a priest conference, called "It's Great Being a Priest" '98.
Love it.
And I do have a bit of news in that. Last night I was down with a bit of a reunion with all my friends down in Roma, and that's why my voice is a bit croaky. I was up to about 3:30 and was woken up about 9:30. But anyway, found out.
6 hours. That's plenty enough.
Yeah,
Plenty enough sleep for you.
Well, I had to when I got back up.
So that's a lie-in for some people.
I know. Yeah. Well, Maggie Thatcher only got 5, and she was running the country.
She did. She did it on 4.
4. Yeah.
Although maybe it would have been better for everybody if she'd had a bit more sleep.
Well, exactly. Yeah. 11 years
Arguably.
of sleep deprivation. So I found out one of my people from my year group in school has now gone to Maynooth and is going to become a priest.
Wow.
And he's probably the only one in his year.
Well,
Must be very lonely now.
Well, he
I don't know. I feel like there's probably been a bit of
a resurgence.
well, not I mean, like, as in like the numbers have swollen from 3 to 4 in the last few years. But
That's
I think
a 33% increase.
there you go. Yeah, I mean, Maynooth's popular.
Well,
globally.
Yeah, but not for the whole priest thing. I think just people go there to do other things.
Well, what else do you do in Maynooth?
You can do anything.
It's
just
in Tipperary, is it? Or?
No,
it's in Kildare.
Get out.
Kildare.
This is quite a small island. There's not that much information on it.
Well, there's quite a few medium-sized towns that all sort of meld into one around the Midlands,
Maynooth is in County Kildare,
right,
in the province of Leinster. Heard of it, right?
I know Leinster, yes. I know Kildare.
Yeah.
But
Maynooth has National University of Ireland, so
yes,
the same as Galway and
it's a bit smaller, but you could do any. You could do science or arts or whatever. Like it's
humanities.
It's a university. Can't be the priests thing. I guess they realised a long time ago they had to diversify.
Yeah.
Maynooth. Oh, and that's Maynooth College.
Well, so there's a
seminary.
seminary.
There's a
seminary.
seminary.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'd imagine they do theological.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He was. See, it's a bit of a sad story because his dad died quite recently, and he started putting on his Facebook about 6 months later all this really, really anti-gay rhetoric. Like, really, this is against God's way, and I was like, really, what started this? And then I found out last night that he's off to seminary, so it's weird. But maybe he'll be going to the It's Great Being a Priest 2017 then.
Well, it'll be a few years down the line now.
It's a 7-year course, isn't it?
He has some time to put in before he'll be going to. It's great. It's great to be studying to be a priest. He can go there first.
Yeah. Well, at the seminar, the Tommy Tiernan is standing on a ledge while Ted schmoozes with the other priests. It seems a bit weird seeing priests schmooze. Like, do you think that really happens down in do they have conventions?
Yes, they do.
Do they?
Definitely.
So you'd be more informed on this because you do your show, Sunday morning show.
Yes, and I frequently go to priests' conferences, so I can account for the fact that there are many
really?
of them.
What happens?
Not so much, but a priest is still a human being, James.
I know.
You can schmooze with the rest of them.
But is it a different atmosphere than when they're just going around the parish and?
Because they're together, so they don't have to do their But that's the whole Father Ted thing, isn't it? The world of priests. So all the things that you'd normally have. That's why it's so funny, like in that bit, because it's just such a weird room, and all these priests just standing around talking.
Well, they're doing this sort of industry networking thing.
Yeah. Or you
So
know,
that's what I mean.
when,
Like,
I know you're probably about to move on to it when like Tommy Tiernan's like on the ledge and he's like, I just don't see the point. And Ted's like, sure, think of all the comfort you bring to the sick and the dying. Sure, they can't get enough of that. You know, he like whips that one out straight away. It's like, this is what we're really good at. You know, in times of crisis, people are all over us like a rash.
We need the priest then. But yeah, so Tommy Tiernan obviously wasn't networking hard enough because nobody knew him apart from Ted. And Ted only knew him because he lent him money.
This is it. I mean, Tommy Tiernan, we don't know what parish he came from, but it could have been, it probably could have been a one-horse town, one priest parish type of scenario where you can imagine it would be quite lonely. I mean, Ted's in, a fortuitous position there in Craggy Island. There's huge volume of them and, great, crossing the intergenerational. You've got, your young priest, your old priest, and your teeny tiny little lady.
Yes. Well, the priest or parishioner ratio on Craggy Island is very, very high, I would imagine.
Yes.
There's 3 priests for about 80 people or whatever. Not all of them go to the mass, as we found out over the course of the series. But yeah, so Ted actually manages to talk him down from the ledge by just giving him some reassuring words, and actually has to catch him because he slips off. Yeah. So yeah, it's very treacherous business.
There's a lot of strength in Dermot's hair. I think I think that's probably what equips him with the ability to do things like that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But it does get the attention of a very mysterious American accented priest. Who we find out is called Father Buzz Cagney.
Dr. Father Buzz Cagney.
Dr. Father Father Buzz Cagney. It was funny, he had like the Don Draper look.
He did years before. Maybe Don Draper was like based on Father Buzz Cagney.
Well,
every possibility.
Yeah, because he had that.
Those priests built America, so
they did. Exactly. Well, there was something very
saying.
priest-like about Don Draper, apart from the sex stuff. But other than that, if you put that aside,
I mean, you got a priest, you got an ad man, basically cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, it's all about the message, really, isn't it?
And they had that brilliant bit where he vanished.
Oh yeah. And he goes, where did he go?
He's like, and he's like, I just went over there for a minute.
What were you saying? But yeah, it was odd though, because I remember at the time thinking it's very American look. Now it might have been just because that guy's putting on such a Americanized accent.
Was it an American actor?
I don't think it was.
I don't think it was either. I think it was an Irish actor.
Yeah.
But
I mean, even if it was an American actor, chances are he was putting on an
American
in inverted commas accent.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Don McClure, and this is how we do things. Yeah. But it did sort of have this sort of American look that maybe Don Draper. That look now is pretty commonplace.
Is it? I don't know. I haven't been to America for a while.
Well, I mean, like
they all like that now.
Well, possibly. Yeah. Are you on your way over? No,
cast your vote.
All over TV, like the you get all these sort of Don Drapery looking actors on TV shows and stuff.
Like sharp, sleek.
Yeah, and the sort of thin, cylindrical face look, if you know what I mean. As opposed to sort of the Brad Pitt look or the Johnny Depp look or the Tom Cruise look. It's now Don Draper look. It's the standard of handsomeness. I
would have loved a Johnny Depp looking priest in Father Ted at some stage.
Well,
dreadlocks and eyeliner, Pirates of the Caribbean would have been great.
That probably would have been the first Series 4 episode. But so Buzz Cagney, I think he's probably got his name from either Buzz Lightyear or Aldrin. Don't know which.
Or both.
Probably both.
James Cagney, who of course is Scarface's personal hero.
Or Cagney and Lacey.
Cagney and Lacey, that's the detective show?
Yeah.
Which one is that? Because there's so many of them. Is that the one?
Well, it's the one that's not Lacey.
Yeah,
no,
the other one.
The other one.
No, Lacey.
The Cagney.
The Cagney other one. The Cagney one.
Yeah. But which series is that? Which is that the one?
All of the series. They're called Cagney.
No, watch TV show.
It's like the two.
Diane and Pascal. Is it?
Oh no, Cagney and Lacey. They're like two American women.
It's the women. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
And
because there's a few like of those. Dale and Pascal and
but Cagney and Lacey were kind of in a separate. Also, Diana and Pascal is English.
Is it? Well, it's just the first one that came into my head.
So I'd say Buzz Lightyear and
Mary Cagney.
Is that her first name?
do you think?
Definitely.
Oh, maybe she's not Mary. Is it Mary Lacey?
I don't know Cagney and Lacey.
I'm not familiar with it all either. You probably ascertained by this point, but yeah. Oh, well, I thought
it's a good name.
It is a good name, yeah.
Buzz Cagney. It's memorable, like.
Yeah, in fairness though, Cagney's it's not wholly an American name. It
is quite an Irish name.
It is quite an Irish name. I was going to say there's some Cagneys in Drogheda. Mm-hmm. There's a pub called Cagney's in Drogheda as well.
Cagney's, right, okay.
I mean, so Father Buzz Cagney originally from Drogheda via LA.
Yeah.
Probably, I'd say that's where his parents were from,
exactly. And also that's why he was at an Irish priest schmoozing meeting.
Exactly, he saw the value in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And anyway, all American priests seem to be Irish anyway.
Most American people are too.
Well, that's true.
So they'll do the right thing.
Yeah, we hope. Well, what I noticed over the course of this podcast is it's going to be like a historical artifact of just the world turning to shit slowly, as I go week by week. And
it's definitely been an interesting year.
So we'll see what happens with the US election, which looks like it's crumbling into oblivion. But we'll not even get into that. We will get into the film club though, because we have our first. We have first in a while when Ted describes Harrison Ford jumping off a plane, which I think was Air Force One, where Harrison Ford played the US president actually against Gary
Sinise.
Not Sinise, the English one, Gary
Oldman?
Gary Oldman, yes, as a Russian terrorist, I think.
I think I've seen that.
I don't think I've seen it.
I think I have, but I don't.
Have you cross-referenced it with the time that it would have been in the cinema?
I didn't actually know. I didn't know that. But I do remember it was.
I think it probably would have been like 95.
It was late 90s, yeah, so.
It was 98, wasn't it?
95. Oh, right, okay. Well,
and he said he was obviously very impressed because he was going to go back and see it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, big Harrison Ford fan. But yeah, that goes into the film club. And then Ted warns Mrs. Doyle that she needs to keep her conversation with Father Kevin a bit, unlike topics such as puppies and cushions.
Yes.
It cheers you up already, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the ideal scenario is she just starts talking to him about a cushion with a puppy's face on it.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
That's a ticket to happiness right there.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Or a puppy's bum on it, like a real cushion that a real puppy is sitting on.
That'd be nice.
That'd be better than just.
That's quite 2016 though, and like puppy paraphernalia.
Puppies have always liked sitting on cushions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but like, I was in George's Market earlier on today, and this is a plug for somebody else, but I walked past. So in the stands there's like jewellery and food and crafts and things, and out of nowhere it's like pets. T-shirts, and it's like, are they T-shirts for the pets or are they people's pets on T-shirts? Massive stand, probably pretty popular.
Well, there you go.
No.
Well, you mentioned cushions with dogs. Do you know David Doherty-Jeb, who was on the podcast a few weeks ago? He in his husband's cafe, all the cushions are like cushions with cat and dog or puppy heads and arms and stuff. So yeah, if Mrs. Doyle had one of those to hand,
there you go.
Father Kevin would have never had a problem.
No.
But yeah.
They can stop prescribing things like Prozac and lithium and just start handing out cushions.
We
should write to the NHS. We're doing great work here.
Exactly, yeah. Well,
we should be funded.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can mass produce, cushions for, I don't know, £3 a go, as opposed to a program of diazepam or whatever it is for hundreds of thousands. But Ted has a very, very harsh critic come up to him after the sermon. That sermon, frankly, it bored the arse of me. Well, I don't know. Did you ever have priests that were particularly charismatic? Because every mass I ever went to bored the arse of me.
I know my granny used to come out to our parish, especially to hear our parish priest do his sermons. I mean, I never used to go with her. I don't enjoy mass much. No. So yeah, but so he should have been glad that the person was listening.
Well, exactly, yes.
Because
he wasn't even listening to himself because he didn't remember his own sermon.
Like the usual. Because I had relatives over from America last week, and they were talking about going to mass and how great, how quickly it was over. Because I think in America it can go on for much longer.
Really,
and I was saying, oh no, God, if a new priest comes to the parish. Here, like, everyone will be like, oh, he's great. In and out in 25 minutes. Yeah. Bang. Like, nobody wants to be listening to a long sermon. they barely get a sermon in, really.
Yeah, they just, like, do all the bits that they have to do and move on.
Yeah, because no one...
Yeah, I remember Good Friday Mass. Dear God, there were like 3 hours or something. And I was there with my uncle and he had to...
You don't have Mass on Good Friday.
Not Mass, of course.
You're not even a real Catholic.
I'm very much a lapsed one, yes. I have distanced myself as much as I could from that whole...
Why would we be celebrating with a big mass?
Well, we're not celebrating, we're mourning with a
no
theatre
mass.
performance of people who have no...
Although, do you know what? Even though, like, Good Friday was always incredibly dramatic and sometimes, like, a little bit tense and kind of scary, especially for kids, depending on, like, what the music was like or, you know, how big the cross was or, you know, how much somebody was struggling underneath it, I quite appreciate the drama. Do you know? Because it was always really dramatic and so mournful, and I don't know, like back when you were kids, and there would just have been like everybody would have been going to that at the same time. Whereas, you know, if you're from like a big town and there's lots of churches, you know, all over it, so there's loads of masses that people
always boasting about how many churches Drogheda has.
Well, that's because it's actually called the City of Hills and Steeples, as testament to the amount of churches that are there.
Well, there you go then. Yeah.
You know, including St. Peter.
I know this already.
St. Peter's Church, which does hold the severed head of St. Oliver Plunkett. Just
I've actually been there.
Major tourist attraction.
Could you see the head?
I saw what looked like a plaster cast mould of something. It looked like a statue or something. It didn't look like an actual decomposed head.
It's a head.
Well, how is it being stored?
It's not decomposed. It's preserved. That's why you were able to see it.
Holiness.
Holiness, of course, yes. I could forget the healing powers of holiness.
Yeah. No, but what I was going to say was, so, you know, every Sunday there'd be like millions of masses to go to all over Drogheda, and, you know, people sometimes sauntered out into the countryside as well, because maybe, like you say, there'd be a priest there who would do a mass in like 18 minutes or something like that. But on Good Friday, because of the fact that, you know, Good Friday sermons were all at 3 o'clock, like all over the town, you know, everybody would be there, and it was just like, it was amazing. It was something really special and dramatic. And I suppose if you think about what it was, it's like, right, the day that, you know, the saviour of the world, and look at me using my inverted commas again, was crucified. That's a big deal for Catholics.
Yeah.
You know?
The head honcho, yeah. You got,
shafted. He got shafted by the lads.
Exactly, yeah.
So
I heard a joke once. I don't know if you should tell it.
Just once. Aren't you in like the comedy writers group?
I heard one joke once. Yeah. I heard one joke and I remembered it.
He tells it loads.
Bring it next time, though.
Yes, yeah. I can't do somebody else's. But Jesus was walking through the desert and he realised it's getting dark and he needs somewhere to sleep. So he goes to an innkeeper and gives him 3 nails. He says, "Can you put me up for the night?"
That's good.
But what I was going to say was that you must have very good actors doing your Passion Play performances on Good Friday, because ours were awful. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but sometimes, you know the way it's like, sometimes a terrible performance is absolutely brilliant, because
it wasn't even a performance.
Because you can remember it and, you know, talk about it and interrogate it and criticise it and reenact it yourself.
Well, you know that the Mel Gibson film, The Passion of the Christ, is based on the Passion Play.
Yeah.
It was only then that I found out that what those people kept going up to the altar and saying all those times was a play. It's supposed to be a play or scripted play, because it just went up there and just flatlined it.
Do you think they were just random people going up to the altar?
Well, I knew there were some important people in the parish, like
right.
Eucharistic ministers or whatever. Yeah.
Did you think they were like improvising?
Well, I was like, why does it not just do one reading instead of all these tiny little readings?
Yeah.
And, you know, they would just read it so flat. Like, they would put no, you know, no sort of colour on anything they delivered. Like, it was...
I think you missed an opportunity, James.
I think maybe that's
all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, I feel I can hear. I feel I can hear a little Pontius Pilate in your voice. And never, you know.
Yeah. Well, maybe if the Saviour comes, you never know.
The good thing is, you know,
comes back.
It might be me.
Back.
I've got these crazy ideas in my head that I'm the Messiah. Probably shouldn't encourage those, but just saying.
I think Jesus knew more than one joke.
I remembered one joke. I'm trying to think if I can remember another one quickly. Just to
he knew loads of jokes and loads of stories and everything. So,
well, we were discussing this on episode 9. Whenever you see films of Jesus, he's almost the most uncharismatic person that you could possibly see. Like, he's never somebody you could believe would sweep a load of people up in just his charisma and his magnetism. He's always this really dry and, okay, let the children come to me. Or
what about The Life of Brian?
That wasn't Jesus. That was Brian.
But Jesus
he's
is
not
in,
the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
but Jesus is in. I mean, you don't see him, but you hear him talking.
You hear of him, yeah.
And I thought he seemed quite charismatic. I would have. I believed
you would have dropped straight out of work and just followed him there and then.
Yeah.
I
was like, stop following this Brian guy and listen to this dude.
Yeah.
This guy's got it going on. This Brian guy, he's he's trying to get rid of us. But anyway, back to you, Ted. So he's got the critic. But yes, he suggests they go to see Jean-Michel Jarre.
That is so funny.
I've never heard of this guy.
You've never heard of Jean-Michel Jarre? No. He's like a, he's like a French. He did like Sonny Lumiere kind of electronic. He's an like electronic music artist from the kind of 80s, late 80s.
Okay, so if you want,
you not heard of him either?
No, well, I definitely heard of the name, but I couldn't. I'd know.
Do. Do you not know that?
Yeah, no, it sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Oxygen, I think.
Well, I find out that he's regarded as a pioneer in electronic synth pop and spectacular events. So he's
a massive. He's really cool, Jean-Michel Jarre. But
you probably would have liked to have gone to some of those masses that Jean-Michel Jarre.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Did do.
See, they didn't wow me.
But it was just I thought that was a really funny line because it was just so like such a thing an old person would say. I'd go and see Jean-Michel Jarre.
Yeah.
The guy's just like, what?
Well, yeah, it was he seems to come up with these random references every so often. Like one time he said, "Oh, we're not Will Self or anything." He's like, Will Self seemed to a very odd reference just to fuck out of thin air. Like,
but I think there was always the thing of Ted having a very weird grasp on popular culture.
Well, there's another recurring like reference that it's not a cultural reference, but it's where they're talking about the pension fund. They're talking about some kind of pension fund that keeps creeping up. What kind of pensions were they?
Well, he says the Mira pension fund. Does that sound familiar to
you? He says the Mirror pension fund.
Right, so
do you know what that was?
No.
Or it must have been something that was happening at the time. I figure for it to keep coming up.
Well, there was a thing with.
It wasn't the Robert Maxwell thing.
I was about to say Robert Maxwell. He had a thing where he.
I don't know. Maybe it was
financial improprieties before he died.
Was that 1998?
It would have been the 80s. Surely he died in the 80s, did he not?
That's what I thought.
No, I thought he was early 90s.
Or did he?
Conspiracy theorists of the world unite. Yeah.
But no, I didn't pick up on that
podcast.
Yeah, he's probably sitting there chairing the Bilderberg meetings and stuff,
Yeah.
just from running his puppet mastery. But we get another entry into the board games room. It's a bit more of a standard board game this time, Snakes and Ladders.
Classic.
Yes, haven't played that in years, Snakes and Ladders. But
that's because Snakes and Ladders is a game that only exists to teach children how to lose.
Well,
like there's no skill in it. You can't strategize. You can do nothing. You just roll the dice. That's it. So it has no purpose other than to teach little kids how to not lose their shit when they have to go down a snake. Which obviously Tommy Tiernan
didn't work for Father Kevin.
Why? These parents were so neglectful.
Yeah, if he had played that as a child, he maybe would have got over it.
Yeah, well that's what I was thinking watching. I was going, his parents did not raise him right. He shouldn't be crying over
over falling down a ladder, yeah.
And Dougal is just brilliant in it when he's going.
Well, yeah, it's
yeah.
return of
You're going to Snake Town.
Yeah. It's return of Dickhead Dougal. I don't know. Dougal's become a bit of an arsehole in the series. Like he's
getting a little bit older. He's pushing the boundaries. You know, he's testing his limits.
And well, we said last time that Ted's just a bad influence on him. Ted the compulsive liar. That over the course of the years, it's just it's chipped away at Dougal's naive nature and his good-heartedness. Because last week when he locked Owen McLove out of the house when the hordes of old women were finding him, he really enjoyed locking him out. Like so.
Yeah.
But Ted has a debt with Father Kevin, and he's like, I forget how much it is. What was it, £10? 20. It was definitely 20. Let's nip that in the bud right now. But board games room. There's been a lot of board games over the course of the series.
What else has there been?
There's been Cluedo with Father Hernandez.
Brilliant.
Yeah, all them Protestants up to no good as usual. Yeah. And there's been chess. Well, chess never actually got played. It was always threatened to be played. But
Who would play chess in Father Ted?
Well, Ted was always anxious to play it, but Dougal preferred the sport of kings, that is Buckaroo. So, but then Buzz Cagney comes into the house,
With a proposition.
So he hasn't made his intentions clear, and he's sort of been very vague. But he talks about how there's different markets in America in Utah's not a very good Catholic market, and that's because they get a lot of action over there because they can have 6 or 7 wives.
If you're Mormon.
If you're Mormon, yeah. And that's Mormon country, definitely.
It is, yeah.
You think Mormon would have got taken off a bit more with that sort of? That's a lot of action.
Is that
as Buzz confirms?
Well, it's not the only religious tradition where polygamy is the thing.
Yeah, like
it's the only Christian one, though, isn't it?
Is it even Christian though?
Well, the Latter-day Saint, certainly. Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saint.
Yeah, but that's sort of technically, I don't know. They're sort of Christian, but maybe not entirely. I don't know. It's a bit of a.
They don't. You're probably right, because the church probably doesn't come under the umbrella of like conventional Christianity in terms of like the Anglican communion. And here I go back to my religious past.
This is where our meeting on religious TV programming comes out to make the podcast really exciting.
Yeah,
gabbling about God.
Yeah, let's just say it's a little bit different. It's not necessarily the same.
Yeah. Don't be getting your high horse of we worship better, because they all say that.
They all do say that.
They do all say that. Yeah.
But only we're
the Mormons
right.
have all the answers.
But when the others say it, they're wrong. But when we say we're right, that's the difference.
They don't know they're wrong, so you can't really blame them. Isn't that right?
No, you can't blame them at all. Sure. God.
God.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which God? The right one.
God, if we're right, just give us no sign.
Exactly.
Well, there you go then.
There you go then.
But
the moon seems to be getting bigger.
Actually growing. It looks very small from here.
No, I was only joking. Anyway. Go on.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, there you go.
So you're trying to deliver, you see.
Yeah.
I totally got it.
She got, I know.
Is that back and forth rapport you have as writing partners and stuff, you see. But yeah, so Buzz mentions that he went to Reno, which Ted suggested quite like Wicklow.
Oh, that was as a Wicklow woman myself, I found that very funny.
And have you been to Reno yourself?
I have not been to. Well, why would I need to go to Reno? I've been to Wicklow and Arklow.
That's true.
And Carlow.
Yeah.
All the O's.
And what does he say? He says something like you have to have really good sermon there, isn't it? Or what does he?
There's a lot of competition there.
Yeah.
Well, Reno. The only reason I know Reno is because the first Sister Act film was set in Reno. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I love Sister Act.
The first one was a classic film.
Yeah, brilliant music.
Greatest little city in the world. Yeah, like generally a lot of like my favorite like Motown hits. I only got to know them through that film, and just sort of stuck with me ever since.
There you go.
Do you know, and they sort of repositioned them, so it became about God rather than about so I ended up learning all the, I wouldn't say wrong lyrics, but the repurposed lyrics. But yeah, and Beverly Hills, which of course is where the Fresh Prince is from, and the Cops, like Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Back to Eddie Murphy again.
Fresh Prince is from Bel Air.
Yeah.
It's not Beverly Hills.
Is Beverly Hills not in Beverly Hills?
They're like near each other.
Oh, okay, right. Is that one of the satellite communities that Chad was going to go to?
It's just like another. Well, I think I'm right. I think they're like two separate areas in Los Angeles. I could be wrong. I've been there recently. Why can't I remember?
What were we there for? The holiday or?
Yeah, it was big. No, it was a holiday.
Oh, okay.
Honeymoon.
It was a honeymoon. It was.
Oh,
I was there.
It was a holiday.
I was there on honeymoon.
Oh,
yeah,
very good,
it was.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. Although the Los Angeles leg of the trip was the sick leg where I got really ill. Did I tell you about that?
No.
Oh God, it was terrible. We were like travelling down the west coast. It was absolutely brilliant. It was brilliant. Dennis is listening. It was amazing. And then I just got like some kind of a bad like vomiting bug, and it was the amusement park day. So we were on like
You were on a roller coaster.
No. It was like midsummer, 44 degrees heat practically.
Oh God.
And we got to Six Flags, and Dennis was very excited about this. Like, so Six Flags is kind of like the Warner Brothers or Tiny Toons kind of theme park, whatever. Major, like, and loads of Marvel themed roller coasters and stuff like that. Like, huge, like, big, decent roller coasters. And we got there, and I was like, all gung ho, but obviously probably like vomiting and having a temperature, and I just basically had, like, there was like not even any relief in the shade. You know what I mean? So I just kind of had to like sit in the corner while my husband ran around the theme park and just went on roller coasters repeatedly until I actually couldn't last any longer.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I was going to say, did you actually go on the roller coaster? I wouldn't have advised.
Well, no, I went in a couple. I was like, yes, I'll give it a go. And that didn't work out so well for me. So
did you have like a problem child moment? Or?
Well, I never vomited on anybody else.
Okay.
There we go.
Well, at least you did that.
But Dennis came back off the Green Lantern at one stage, and I was gone from the spot that he had left me in, probably half dying. And he was like, "Oh my God, somebody's come along and taken her away." I don't know where to find her. But it's just.
And then he looked around and he saw the shortest queue and he joined that and he said, "I'll find her afterwards."
Yeah. If I can just sneak this in, yeah.
But the whole conversation they have, it reflected this attitude in Ireland of Magic America that used to be very prevalent.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite as prevalent as much anymore since Iraq and George Bush and potentially Donald Trump and everything.
Yeah.
But there was, I remember as a kid, everything about America was so amazing.
Well, it's because you saw so much of America on TV that you thought it must be.
Well, exactly. I thought,
and it was so different to where you were.
Yes, well, I genuinely thought all houses in America were like the Home Alone house and the Father of the Bride house, which were these massive big mansions.
But also, when we were, Ireland was much poorer than it is now, and America was only in its decline of the sort of being the promised land for a lot of immigrants that that has gone on since then. So it was. What's the film where the girl goes, "Oh, I'm going to the States," and your man's like, "Oh yeah, deadly. The States is deadly." It's the end of some Irish film. I can't remember which one it is now. But it's that thing where she's going, "Oh, where are you going?" "Oh, the States." "Oh yeah, the States is great."
Is it a recent one?
That sounds like loads of films.
No, but there's there's a joke in it though about that where that's all he can say.
Yeah.
And she, that it's so much the accepted thing.
Yeah.
"I want to go to the States." "Oh yeah, me too." "Oh yeah, the States is great." But neither of them know anything about it.
Oh yeah.
Well, there was a film in America by Jim
Sheridan,
yes. Brilliant film about Irish immigrants and their actual experiences.
Was it Jim and his daughter? Was Kirsten Sheridan? Did she direct it as well? I think the two of them did. Or did she direct it? I don't know.
Well, I thought Jim Sheridan directed it. I might be wrong with that. But yeah, it was all about the sort of the actual experiences of immigrants get to America in sort of modern times, and it was a great film. But yeah, no, it was Blur had a song called Magic America, which sort of reflected that idea as well. Because my grandaunt moved to England between the wars and actually married an English. I think he was an RAF soldier, and he went to serve in World War II and everything. And I was living for a while when I was in London about 2 or 3 years ago, and she used to say that if she got sort of looked down upon because she went to England, whereas other family members went to America, and they were like, "Oh, he's away over in America. Oh, he's wonderful. He's doing great for himself." And even though she was a working nurse and she had a perfectly happy life in England, it was like, "Oh, she's going over to England, sure."
Well, it seemed. Well, I suppose for many reasons, getting to England was probably easier because you probably knew more people. It probably didn't cost as much.
Well, yeah,
and it was easier to come back. Whereas if a person managed to get to America and then because those journeys were hard.
Yeah, they were 4 or 5 weeks on a boat.
Yeah, and then seemed to be making a life for themselves. But the thing is, back then, it's not as if they would have had the same sort of, it's not as if people here would have had the same sort of access to how people were getting on.
You get one letter every 3 months.
Exactly. So somebody could be telling you everything you want to hear and more, and maybe it's very far from the truth.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I still think now that people have ideas attached to certain parts of America. You know what I mean? People still, because of the fact the way that the tech industry is or whatever, people would still be like, "Oh my God, well, San Francisco, or California, it generally is a place to be or to go or to frequent." Well, because there are so many, international, events and, major companies that are there. And then I think people still have that massive ongoing love affair with New York that I think will never, ever, ever change.
I've never... Yeah, I don't know.
Really get
the appeal of New York, to be honest. I've never been, so I can't say anything about it.
Do you lived in New York for a year?
Did you? And how
for 2 years.
2 years.
I absolutely loved it.
Did you? Right, okay.
I think New York's a great place. But I think New York will... it's so expensive to be there now.
Yeah, it's the same as London, like, so.
Yeah, except it's way nice. It's a way better city than London. It's a much nicer energy about it.
Really, right?
I think so. Yeah, I find London quite a. I mean, not that there's loads of cool stuff happens in London all the time, but I just find when you go to London, it's a place where everybody on the tube is like trying not to make eye contact with each other, and if a drunk gets onto the tube, everybody is like pretending they're not there, even though they, even as they puke on themselves and wee, and everyone can smell them, but there's no kind of eye contact and keeping your giggles down. Whereas like in New York would be more like, I mean, you would acknowledge those things. It doesn't seem quite as buttoned up and unfriendly a place, I don't think.
Well, the impression that people give me of New York is that everyone's just a bastard to each other. It's like,
no, I don't think so.
Not at all.
Well, as in, like, what are you doing? I'm driving here. Do you know, that sort of.
Oh yeah, they're very impatient, but they'd be nice to you. Like, at least they talk to you.
Right.
They might be shouting at you.
I had one of those moments. I mean, you can have those moments here. I have had that moment in Belfast on the way over here earlier on, when somebody was driving in front of me and they were either actually asleep at the wheel or completely drunk, and I was definitely, what are you doing? And staring out the window at them. Yeah. So I mean,
there you go then. Yeah. So
I was impatient. So it's everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's the sort of, in Ghostbusters when he says it's every New Yorker's God-given right to be a dick to each other.
Yeah.
Like so. But I find London great. Like, I thought everyone in London did have a very warm sort of vibe to each other. But like I said, I can't compare it to New York. But with Ted wants Bills to spill the beans about all the celebrities that he's met. He shared that Val Kilmer is a complete bastard.
He's a New Yorker.
But there was some at the time when that came out. There was some story about Val Kilmer being a bastard. It was, I can't remember specifically now what it was, but there was some. It would have been around about the time that Val Kilmer would have been in the remake of The Saint. I remember that.
Okay,
yes. But I just remember at the time, and I'd say that was the joke, because it was one of those things at the time that everyone was saying, "Oh, Val Kilmer, he's a total bastard."
Well,
do you remember the way a few years ago it was your man Christian Bale? Everyone was going on Christian Bale's a total dick. So I think it was going, like, I think he wasn't plucking Val Kilmer out of the air. That was just what everyone was saying at the time. Whether or not it was true, I have no idea.
And around at the time, Kevin Spacey would have been huge, because probably American Beauty was out, and he probably just won an Oscar or something.
I was going to mention that.
American Beauty was out in 1998.
It came out in 1999.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
He wouldn't have been quite a household name over here, but he had done quite a few films.
Or
in
what
95.
about The Usual Suspects?
The Usual Suspects.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's what I was talking about.
But he kept his name out of the. No, he didn't. It was 7 he kept his name out of, because he didn't want to spoil the twist. I hope I didn't spoil the twist for anyone.
Oh my God, Kevin Spacey is in 7. I didn't know that.
Did you not know that?
Moving swiftly on. Moving swiftly on. It's fine.
7 year
It's
fine. But obviously now Kevin Spacey is a household name because House of Cards, and even though he took like 10 years out of film for the most part. But Val Kilmer, he just had a sort of artistic temperament, did he? See, he was a big player in that Batman Forever film, and they didn't ask him back for Batman and Robin. So whether that had something to do with it. But
curiouser.
See, to me, I just imagine him in Top Gun.
Well, he hasn't done much since then.
Since Top Gun. No,
well, since
he was pretty good in Top Gun, so I don't think he needed to prove himself after that.
Well, he had a good few films. I can't think of them off the top of my head now, but I do remember seeing him and being impressed quite a few times. Like so.
But the Iceman in Top Gun, that's the pinnacle of Val Kilmer.
As a heterosexual male, it's weird that I've never seen Top Gun. Like, everyone sort of goes, "You've never seen Top Gun?" It's like, no, it's like, doesn't appeal to me.
It's not weird as a heterosexual male, though.
Well, it's like every sort of gathering of the sort of lads, if you want.
Really? They all watch Top Gun? Because I think of it as being filmed that girls watched so they could look at handsome men. Like,
well, I don't know. Everyone's.
Girls, like as in 14.
I mean,
girls.
have you gone through your fighter pilot phase? Because maybe when you get to that, then you'll want to see it.
Yeah, well, I haven't. No.
Well, there you go. Then there you go. You have to look forward to.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. Okay, cool. So.
And Christmas is coming.
Well, yeah, exactly.
It's more than likely going to be on at least twice.
If somebody wants to get me an F-14 jet, I'll happily oblige. There's a roof I can land on. Yeah.
An F-14 jet model.
No, I want the actual jet. But yeah, no, it's haven't seen Top Gun. There you go. Anyway, Dougal mentions that the first thing he hears about America is Kurt Cobain, and how he shot himself. How did he manage to survive that?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, well, it was. Well, it sort of feeds into the sort of half theme of the episode of just overall depression and stuff, and Kurt Cobain, obviously,
and suicide.
Yeah, and obviously, it's probably the most visual.
Optimistic suicide, though, from Dougal's point of view.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, shoot yourself in the head with a shotgun. I do know another joke about Kurt Cobain. If you want to hear it, again, it's a bit offensive.
Okay.
What was the last thing to go through Kurt Cobain's head?
No.
And now, come on.
I said it was going to be offensive.
You're going to have to leave.
I can't leave, it's my flat. you can storm out in a big dramatic huff if you want. But Ted loves pheasants, as does his meals, according to Mrs. Doyle. What do you think she's going to be feeding him? Fox or something?
I thought a fox, yeah. It'd be great.
Yeah, I didn't get that it was a fox. I thought it was a person that eating a pheasant.
As a special treat, Mrs. Doyle is going to treat them to like a cannibalistic casserole.
I didn't follow the thought up very much, but I was thinking, who ate the pheasant now? But Mrs. Doyle is quite sinister, and it wouldn't really surprise me actually if she killed someone and served it up as pretended it was something else.
That is a side of Mrs. Doyle we haven't been privy to yet. What's giving you that impression?
No, I just think she's.
You don't feel like you see enough of the whites of her eyes.
Yeah, I just think there's an evil side to her. There's definitely a dark side to Mrs. Doyle.
Well, we don't know anything about her outside of the
exactly.
She mentioned she has a sister in this episode.
And why are there why are there so few parishioners?
Oh, true. Yeah,
maybe there used to be a lot. That's why they have 3 priests. It's like I'll keep disappearing
one by one.
And
yeah, I see. It's becoming very League of Gentlemen again. Yeah. So, but Mrs. Doyle has to use a power tool to cut Father Jack's nails.
Oh God! Yeah.
I thought it was a sander. She's got a sander out before, like a power sander, but it's not. It's some sort of clipping.
Yeah, some sort of chopping device. Yeah. Because those nails, they ricochet off. Well, they don't even ricochet off. They go like right through.
Yes, yeah.
Every glass implement in the room.
It's another one of our windows to the soul where the window gets broken again. So one of Jack's nails does go through, and with some quite a high velocity, like.
Yeah. The nails is a recurring thing, though, isn't it? How she cuts his nails. I don't.
Well, yes, exactly. Yeah. So, just it's general overall hygiene level. It's,
but I love when she says, like, they're worrying the armchair. You know, when he's like drawing it. It's such a mammy or an L thing to say. You know, they're worrying the armchair. They're not wrecking it.
I was wondering what word she used, like as if that was the word for like scratching away or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
you know, she means they're destroying the armchair.
She's just wrecking it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The price turnover is very low, £200 or about $400.
Yeah.
Which do you reckon that's per? I was trying to figure out if that was per year or per week.
Oh, he's talking about the Sunday collection.
Sunday collection.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you know what you do with $400 if you're in Beverly Hills?
And you were Buzz Cagney?
And you were Buzz Cagney. You'd wipe your arse.
You'd wipe your arse with it.
Yeah.
And I think this is like one of the best lines of the whole.
It's the line of the show, yeah.
The whole programme where Ted is like, really? And is it still legal tender? Fantastic.
Well, yeah. But I've been watching Narcos recently on Netflix. It's about Pablo Escobar and
using wads of cash to wipe his bum.
Well, not quite, no, but
only mostly.
Only mostly. Well, he had so much cash, he genuinely had run out of things to do with it. Like he was giving it all away, but he still didn't know where to put it, so he just started burying it everywhere. And just very recently, actually, I think last week, a farmer just found about $600,000 or something of US currency. But the show explained in the first episode the reason the Americans got involved at all, like it really wouldn't be a problem for them, only for the fact that all the American dollars were actually disappearing from the country, and that became Uncle Sam's problem then. So yeah, but wanted to go after Father Buzz Cagney for his desecration. Oh yes, and he shows him a brochure of St. John's Parish in Bel Air, and he says, it's a bit out of date now. Some of the ladies serving those drinks would be in their 20s. Yeah. Which implies that there's minors serving drinks in St. John's Parish. You can't drink until you're 21 in California, I believe. So
God,
I'm sure they can't serve it.
It's morally dubious from loads of points of view.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah. Well, if that had come out, that would have been a major scandal. The Catholic Church would have trouble getting away from, like, 'cause, you know.
I know, but presumably it is. They are sort of prefiguring the actual scandal then.
Yes,
that has
yeah.
come out since.
Well,
in a nice, friendly, sanitised kind of way.
In a nice, friendly, sanitised kind of way. But those are the things that at the time you would have been like, ha. And now you're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
that's probably true.
Well, they were touching upon it, and like I can't remember what contemporaneously it was like, but you know, people had a vague idea at the time. Whereas in America, apparently it still hadn't sort of broke the story, even though it was actually
had it broken in 1998?
Well, it's.
I mean,
from what
other than that, we all knew an old story about it. You know.
Well, I think investigations had begun, because the investigations were taking like years, like, weren't they? But like they hadn't had any major investigations, even though it obviously transpired in Boston, and there was a massive one, and then all over the country and everything. Yeah, so they like didn't have their major scandal, and I think I have seen it theorised that that's why Father Ted didn't take off in America quite as much, is because there was still this reverential, like total reverential relationship to the Catholic Church. Like even the West Wing, which was made in '98, I believe, the president is a Catholic and he's a practicing Catholic, and it's very you know, there is a lot of spiritual and religious stuff he goes through in the show, so that they still had, you know, it's still a very religious society as well, like, so.
Oh yeah, massively.
Yeah, so I think that's why it didn't. So if they had found out they were serving minors were serving drinks, that would have been a scandal. Like, that could have toppled them. But
now that's us assuming that they were alcoholic drinks, because the minors could have been serving tea.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Well,
we all went there.
Yeah. Well, they had their own housekeepers, like Mrs. Doyle over there. Yeah, true.
In training.
Yeah. But Ted gets the good news that he's actually got accepted to America. Unfortunately, Father Kevin decides he wants a bit of help, you know, battling his inner demons. So he goes to Ted. He uses the phrase "dark night of the soul." Have you ever heard that phrase before?
Yes.
In that context, because I've heard it as an album cover. I think it's by Gnarls Barkley. I might be wrong with that, but "Dark Night of the Soul." I've never heard it described like that. I've heard it like "The Black Dog" or.
No, I think I've heard it before. I can't even think of the context, but it's.
No, you definitely heard it before. And it definitely has some kind of like literary or
it's
spiritual origin.
Right. Okay. Right.
Oh, it's probably Shakespeare or something as obvious as that.
Yeah,
I think but it's something old anyway.
Well,
but you knew what he was talking about.
Well, yeah. Well, he came in and he just said, I've been having bad thoughts and I've been going on a bad path. It's been, you know, taking me. But yeah, like depression. I didn't realize this episode was so. Obviously, I knew that he was a suicidal priest, but they actually go very deep into it, and they do sort of tackle it, which I don't think many sitcoms were doing at the time.
No,
it was certainly, you know, not with such, you know, upfront about it, like. But yeah, so Ted tries playing some music, and he plays him the classic. This will go in the CD collection. This theme from Shaft by Isaac Hayes.
Not only does he play the record, he treats him to a little dance.
He does indeed, yes, yeah. And
treats all of us to a little dance.
Yeah.
But he's not even playing that to cheer him up, is he? Because he's not even listening to what Tommy Tiernan is saying. Tommy Tiernan's telling him about his Dark Night of the Soul, and Ted is like, "Yay, I'm going to America! Woo!" And then just sticks on the theme from Shaft and just starts dancing.
And it's so funny because he like bounces up and he's like, "Right, you know, I'll have to pack everything. Oh, that'll be fine." And then he's like, "Come on now, Kevin, tell me, you know, what can I do for you?" You know, like pivots and then, like, you know, goes back into priest mode for about 10 seconds and then jumps up and starts playing Shaft again. Which is
well, Shaft is a great song.
It is a great song.
But it's actually themed from Shaft.
It's a great dance that he does.
It is a great dance.
It's so funny.
But
and it was really nice to see.
It's the power of his hair again.
It's really nice to see Dermot Morgan doing. Because he's the straight man in so much of that.
Yeah.
And then to see him just kind of cutting loose and going mad I thought was really, really nice.
Some of the best bits in Father Ted are the physical comedy. Like some of the one-liners, I mean, you remember, or, you know, the characters or the accents or, you know, that kind of thing, or the storylines, but just some of the physical comedy is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And literally before you came in, actually, I just watched the wee thing on All Four, the pigs thing, because I'd actually avoided watching until I finished this episode, and they were saying that they hadn't discovered that Polly McLynn was such a really good physical actor.
Oh, she's hilarious.
Yeah, and I think they really like we discussed the amount of different types of comedy, and physical comedy is like one of their big ones. Like, but they were a bit embarrassed about the amount of people that just went through windows in the first series. So, but
So funny.
But the playing the music worked for them, which it helps me when I'm in a funk. I do actually have playlists called Pump You Up playlists.
Oh yeah.
So when I'm in a bit of a shitty mood.
Oh totally. There's like, Feel Good Friday playlists and all that kind of stuff. And actually, one of the things that Dee and I first bonded over was we were sitting across an office, and Dee had her headphones in, and I was like sort of like on the diagonal from her, and I could just hear a big song blaring out of her ears. And I emailed her and I was like, do you want to know what love is? Because that's the song that you were listening to, and you were like, yeah, Power Ballad Friday. Of course I do.
I want to know what love is.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, see, my ones are very aggressive. I need that sort of aggressive energy. Like I need Rage Against the Machine or Marilyn Manson or something, just to sort of really pump me up. There's a song by Smashing Pumpkins called Bodies, which is just pure like hard rock aggression, and that's what I need just to get the blood flowing again. And it was very interesting to note that the crowd, the live studio audience, applauded the fact that it was helping him, and that they didn't laugh or anything. They actually give a round of applause, which they haven't done any other point of the show that I've seen.
Are you talking about the round of applause as Tommy Tiernan left the room?
Yeah.
Because I was sort of like, are they sort of like signifying that as like the end of his cameo? Or I was trying to think of what would Tommy Tiernan's profile have been like at the time? He might have, would he have been known at that stage, or was he still kind of breaking out? I can't remember. But
he would have been known, but obviously just not as big as he is now.
But when Tommy Tiernan does start sort of like, dancing and doing the little head moves at the table, like it's so subtle, and then it builds to something.
Well, I was about to say,
it is brilliant. It's a really nice little moment.
Well, his performance is actually perfect for how subtle it is, like, and it's such a an antithesis of his stage persona, which is this big, loud, sort of shouty. I actually don't like his stand-up that much, because I think he just tries to get laughs by just shouting what he's saying, rather than saying anything funny, or all my friends love him, like, and he's he's obviously very successful. But I thought his performance in this, and it did that little, he just nodded his head. It's like actually, and like he stuttered over. Actually, I do like this song, and he allowed himself to sort of, let the music sort of take him. So, but Ted just blurts out the news to Dougal that he's so excited he's getting to America, and Dougal, his first impression is, "Oh great! So when are we going?"
Dougal says, "What are you gonna do there, or to do what?" And then Ted's like,
"Oh, to be
a priest." And Dougal goes, "Oh, sure, great, sure, that's pretty much what you do here too." That's hilarious.
Yeah. It's Dougal doesn't seem to realise what the role of a priest is at all. Like, I think he's just going with the flow most of the time.
He takes it in baby steps. I mean, there's the other bit earlier on in the episode where it goes back to where the guy is asking him, what in God's name was that sermon about? And Ted's like, well, I suppose it was kind of. And then he goes, Dougal, do you remember what it was about? I think this is the moment. And Dougal goes, nope, couldn't tell you. Spending too much time trying to look holy.
Yeah.
It's just like the bare minimum of like priestliness that I need to do in order to be priesty in my priesty life with you, the other priests.
Well, I was an altar boy for about 2 months when I was about 7 or something, and
what did you do to get kicked out?
I just stopped going to mass, to be honest. But it was during certain points you had to ring a bell, and you sort of got to know them after you watched somebody else do it, and then everyone sort of went up to the altar and they went down and they kneeled down in front of the tabernacle and stood there in silence, and nobody ever told me what they're supposed to be doing at that point. It sort of occurred to me about 5 years later, oh yeah, we're supposed to be praying or something. But so I was just doing that, just concentrating on looking holy, like, because that's, or else you don't want to rock the boat, like. You want to get those weddings, because that's where you get the tenor tips and stuff. So, so you have to look the part. You
still do look holy though, so it obviously worked.
Well, yeah.
You retain something.
Yeah, it's just that's a spiritual vibe of me. Yeah, the enlightenment. And then Ted realizes, oh no, they're all going to want to go, and he just envisions Dougal as a puppy dog.
In a red vest.
In the wee tank top, yeah. And then he looks around at Mrs. Doyle,
And this is when Mrs. Doyle starts talking, because there's another suicide joke, because she starts going, oh God, if I thought I wasn't going, I'd probably kill myself.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was like, what? And then Ted's like, I can't believe you said that. And then she's just like, well, it doesn't matter then, because I am going.
Yeah. So yeah, she sort of like emotionally guilt tripped him into sort of bring her along. But when she hears she's going to America, and again the Magic America thing, she goes catatonic.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Which
But the best bit is when, because he's like, oh yeah, and Dougal and Mrs. Doyle, and then Mrs. Doyle says a thing about how Father Jack loved, and you just see him like, oh, I have to be Father Jack as well, like whatever about the other two.
Yeah.
But it's all over now.
But it's Father Jack. It's like Frank, like fully beautifully.
You imagine
polished Frank Kelly, just like
being
singing
American,
to him,
an American version of Father Jack.
Cleaned up on crooning is what I put here.
Yeah.
And had to find a song. It's called "I'll Be Seeing You in Apple Blossom Time," which Barry Manilow has recorded, and I assume that's the one he's singing over, unless he's actually singing live.
It sounds magical and it sounds America to me.
So it's Manilow,
yeah, so funny.
But Mrs. Doyle, she was like a little bonny sweetheart. It was supposed to be like. Was it supposed to be like a Red Riding Hood, or what do you call it, Little Miss Muffet or something? Or
she kind of looks like Dorothy.
Dorothy Gale.
Like Dorothy out of the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
No, I think it's Dorothy Gale. Is that not right?
I think it is. Doesn't matter. Dorothy, like.
Well, I'm thinking
Dorothy, from the Wizard of Oz. Yeah.
Well, I'm more familiar with the Return to Oz film that was made in the 80s.
Oh God, that's really scary.
That
with those
scary as fuck.
Yeah, it's really scary.
And
it's really good though.
Mombi, I think, is the enemy's name. The bad witch's name. And she gets up with her head like severed and starts walking around, but she keeps shouting Dorothy Gale.
Oh,
I think so. I might be wrong with that.
Oh God, she does. You're right. Yeah, but we're talking about the Wizard of Oz.
Okay,
the Return to Oz.
Not the Return. The original Wizard. So then Father Kevin, his day brightened up. He gets on a bus, and the driver asks, "Can he put the music on?" Unfortunately, the music is queued up to the new Radiohead song, "Exit Music from a Film," which is utterly melancholy choice of song. It probably didn't help the image that Radiohead were a depressing band, but they're not actually that depressing. If they're just misunderstood. They have a song off one of the recent albums called "Jigsaw Falling Into Place," and it's about a date going right, which you wouldn't expect. Like it's like the whole lyrics are just like
that sounds like a Coldplay song.
Yeah, exactly. it's actually one of their best songs. Really? Yeah, there's a brilliant guitar riff and
better than Creep.
I don't like Creep. No, I think Creep is a real. That is a depressing song, and it's just it's
bands.
But musically as well, like Creep is just so
Creep's a good song.
Crude for them because they're so much more expressive musically.
And now they are, but like Creep was years ago.
Yeah.
But when it came out, it was amazing.
Well, see, it rode on the crest of a wave of going back to Kurt Cobain. It got released about a month after he died. So then
did it
or something like it was quite soon after he died, and then the record companies wanted just like another doom rock band to sort of attach to. To get the
you're probably right,
angsty American kids.
I remember when he died, and yeah, you're right. I bet it was then. Yeah.
Well, they hate the song. I think they played it for the first time about 3 months ago for the first time in about 12 years or something. So
that just shows what they know.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you notice at that point? So he's driving on the bus, and he goes from like magical Technicolor. He just starts like graying down.
Yes, yeah,
and basically the color grade of the whole shot just like turns him into
just an ashen-faced.
Yeah, exactly. Ashen-faced, depressed-looking corpse man on the bus.
That's the last we see of him. So we don't actually know what becomes of him when he gets off the bus. It was a very. It must have been a very lonely bus journey as well because we don't know where he's going. But you'd imagine it was
Does he
long
even
distance.
know?
Well, back to his Paris, I'd imagine. Like he got cleared of the 20 pound.
One passenger.
Yeah, down to the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kind of bus journey of my dreams.
It's
like a big.
It's like being in a Hummer.
Yeah, with your own private chauffeur.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Except he won't stop where you need him to.
He will if you press the bell.
But he'll not pull up the streets you want to get off at. He'll just leave you off the depot.
At the bus stop. It's okay. That's probably where I'd have the Hummer drop me off anyway. But like, no, just leave me here. It's fine.
Yeah.
Don't go around.
Yeah.
It's too much trouble. Don't go around the
It'd
block.
be a nitmare for you now in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah. Turn it around.
Oh God.
But Ted gets a sports massage from one of the Ultra Boys. Did you notice?
No.
Yeah. He puts a little towel on his shoulders and
Just gives them the proper
starts
sort of
shopping his back.
Yeah.
You know, cooling down after the big match.
Yeah, it was proper pumped when he was,
And Buzz is impressed.
yes, exactly. Yeah, was the Americans love all that sort of stuff, especially those sort of business-minded Americans, all that sort of get your pump on and
Coming out to raucous applause. You know.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Ted's critic for Murder in the episode would have been a bit more.
And then it's good when Buzz is like, I wouldn't do another one of those for a week.
Yeah. Got to pace yourself. You got to keep the talent fresh.
Yeah.
And then we get. Well, I think it's a bit too late to introduce a new feature to the show, but there has been quite a few fictional books coming up in Father Ted in the recent episodes. But Dougal is reading So Your Priest Who's Going to America by Father J.J. McCormick. So he's been swatting up. Like, you can't say that Dougal wasn't preparing himself.
Yeah, it's good to know what's ahead of him.
Well, exactly, yeah. But he's really taking this seriously, his new career move. And we get another mention of the money resting in Ted's account.
Yes.
Not from him this time.
It's Dougal and Mrs. Doyle this time.
We know. She's only resting.
In episode 3, Bishop Brennan mentions that he's not getting off the island until he pays back the money. And then at the start of series 3, we find out that he was actually in a different parish for a while, and he had different financial improprieties that got him sent back to the island again. So yeah, he's clearly making a name for himself with this, which is his reputation of money changing hands. He probably wouldn't be allowed. He probably wouldn't have credit to handle any more than £200 in cash. Do you reckon?
No. Well, and we know he's really tight as well.
Yeah,
because he won't let Tommy Tiernan suicidal Father Kevin away with his tenner
with the €10, the £10
until he finds out that he's going to America, and then he's like, actually, it's grand.
Yeah. So Mrs. Doyle, they make a clean break, and I want to mention that they do make it feel like a final episode. There was this theory that they were going to continue if Dermot hadn't died. I don't think they would have, because they clear out the entire room and Mrs. Doyle takes all the furniture and burns it just to make sure that they can never come back. But overall, from sort of this point of the episode onwards, it did sort of feel like they were saying goodbye almost, or they were sort of
it
wrapping things
definitely
up.
did.
And Dougal suggested that Ted is worse than Santa, or Ted could be Santa. The best news you could get is Ted was Santa.
Because every time Ted has had something to tell them recently, it's been the best news ever.
Yes. Well, again, he went into his compulsive lying early in the episode when he says, "You can't come with me when I go to the moon."
When I go into space, exactly. Yeah. So first you're going to America, then you're going into space, and the next best piece of news that you could tell us is that you're Santa.
Yeah.
Then he goes, "I'm not Santa. Are you the anti-Santa?"
The anti-Santa. Who would that be now?
Who'd be the anti-Santa?
The Grinch, I suppose. The Grinch stole Christmas.
Although I heard an ad on the radio earlier on today for like one of the winter wonderlands somewhere. Actually, where was it? Maybe it was when I was down in Dublin. And they were like, oh, and you'll meet Santa and the Snow Queen and blah blah blah, and even a surprise appearance from the Grinch. He's not so bad after all. So I was like, all right, so the Grinch isn't even the villain anymore.
Oh,
so I don't know Assad.
Yeah.
Or apparently in Bad Santa, apparently Santa in that is really bad.
Is he? Does he not get redeemed at the end though?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it. Apparently it's really good. I do intend to watch it. I haven't seen Elf either. Whoa!
What?
Yeah, that's like you've never had Christmas at all.
Yeah, it's like that's.
Well, hang on. This was me maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I hadn't seen Elf.
It's my favourite film.
And I mean, I don't want to.
I get the general impression it's Will Ferrell as an elf.
That is correct. That is correct.
That's the impression he has too.
It's really good.
It's really good. It's so
hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
Like physical comedy in that is just priceless.
Oh, and classic lines. Just it's very good. It's really feel good as well, and it's for boys and girls of all ages.
Yes,
there's one for everybody in the audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well,
both Bosco and Gay Byrne would love it. There you go.
Yeah.
Puppets and people alike.
And a stamp of approval then.
Yeah.
Well, I only saw It's a Wonderful Life last year, so
I still have never seen it.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, okay.
you will cry.
That was me last year as well. I thought It's a Wonderful Life as well. It's brilliant.
Yeah, you will actually cry.
Okay, so
I'm gonna watch it tomorrow.
as Dr. Christmas, I'm prescribing It's a Wonderful Life for you and Elf for you.
Right, okay.
There we go.
But the thing is, we're still in Halloween season here, so can we
This
get
is
off the
true,
subject
yeah,
of Christmas?
sorry.
I
Oh,
can't
yeah,
believe they're actually
sorry.
advertising radio.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm getting them in there.
I know. But, so they go to the airport, Shannon Airport, incidentally. I suppose that would be their local one, but...
That bastion of international travel that
Yeah.
it is.
We should have gone to
Knock Airport.
Knock International Airport.
There'll be quite a drive for them, because it's way up in... They have to get into the mainland and then go all the way up.
It's way up in, where is it, James?
It's way up in Mayo.
It is way
It
up in
is in
Mayo.
Mayo, yeah,
Yes,
well done.
fabulous.
Don't worry, my Irish geography isn't that bad.
just up there in Mayo, beside Maynooth.
Leave me alone, right? I didn't know where one fucking town was, okay? My Irish geography is actually reasonably good, so there.
Well, let's see you go to the Queen's University Irish geography quiz, and then we'll see.
Alright then, challenge accepted. But I noticed Ted's guitar is wrapped in paper. That won't survive baggage handling.
No, I didn't
It was
notice that.
in brown brown paper, so Mrs. Doyle was like carrying this massive truck
Trolley full of
about 15 suitcases.
And she's in her going away outfit as well. It's a dress that we haven't seen during the series at all. It's her proper I'm going to the airport, I'm wearing my smart clothes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, and they all have the little star-spangled banners. So cute.
And Jack's
So
just draped in
cute.
his.
Yeah.
And Ted manages to ditch the others just at the very, very last second as he's about to check in. So he cowered it out of actually saying that couldn't go and just tried to sort of weasel the way out.
I know, it feels treacherous.
It
He's
does,
there with this
yeah.
one-
Because it was treacherous.
Well, yeah,
Because
this is it.
basically Ted is a bastard.
Yeah. Well,
It's true.
Well, Buzz said to meet him to get rid of him and meet him at the airport lounge, but we don't actually. They actually get all the way to onto the airport, onto the airplane. So there's been at least a 45-minute gate opening that they've gone through as well, while they're still waiting to get served in the tourist office because they didn't know to go to the cafe right next to work. But yeah, so he managed to ditch them anyway, and Buzz has heard of Ted's dowdy fluff.
Globally
It's
recognised.
yeah.
It's like a UNESCO heritage site.
Exactly. These priest conferences, they do the gossip around, don't they? So, but Buzz starts unveiling the realities of the parish that Ted's going to. It's not quite the.
Because Ted says something about a swimming pool, doesn't he?
He goes,
Yes.
I forgot my trunks.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I don't want to go au naturel in the swimming pool because I've got a bit of dirty fluff up down there. But he's got a basketball court, and they do have a lot of outreach.
And that'll keep him fit.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. And they have a lot of outreach programs in the.
With the gangs.
Yeah. They've only had, what was it, 5,000?
5,620 shootings or something like that.
Yeah.
That's all.
Deaths.
Oh, gang-related deaths, that's right.
Yeah.
But drive-by shootings are down.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, but Ted's not there to umpire drive-by shooting tournaments. So he cuts himself off. But those numbers are staggering. Like that's not an exaggerated number that Buzz said.
Isn't it?
No, like the mortality rate, the homicide rate in America is in tens of thousands per year. And
I know.
the
But
population.
is he not talking about just that?
Just
the made-up parish.
Well, in LA, that would be the kind of numbers they're speaking about. Like it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Jeepers. That's mad.
Well, and I was listening back to one of the episodes actually on my way to the quiz to sort of do a bit of research, and it was actually the day of the Orlando shooting, and in that 1 week there had been 9 mass shootings in America.
I know, it's mad how many of them there are. It's crazy.
But what that is usually drive-bys. Like,
Right.
so if they take out four people, that's considered a mass shooting then.
Okay.
But it's like the numbers are absolutely staggering.
God, we probably don't even know.
Yeah, and the population of America is only 6 times the population of Britain. Like, so I think there's the homicide rate is in double figures in Britain. Like, but more guns is what we need. Yeah.
Definitely.
He comes back and he breaks the news to the guys. They're not actually coming. And they take it very well, actually.
Yes, they
That's
do.
a totally brilliant thing. I didn't want to go anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mrs.
That's
Doyle,
exactly what they would like.
Yeah.
It was exactly the right thing for them to all say. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't even want. I don't care. Like they just.
Yeah.
It was just because Ted was going.
And Mrs. Doyle couldn't go. She hadn't told her sister, as we mentioned, and that's the only mention we've had of her She's mentioned her husband once.
Yeah.
And now her sister.
Did she mention her husband?
She says in the Owen McLove episode, my little Mayo mammy reminds me of the time my husband. Oh, I said too much. That's all you get.
I'd forgotten that.
And also when the feminist author is there, and she talks about the husband having his lad in his hand.
Oh yeah.
Waiting for you to degrade yourself.
Standing over you.
Yeah. So she's very protective of her private life, but I also
she says that and then it just hangs in the air. I can't go because I haven't told my sister.
Yeah.
No response.
Yeah.
At all. But we know what that means.
Well, she would have.
We have sisters.
Yeah. Well, she would have written a letter eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But we'll never know.
That relationship might be terminado.
Yeah.
It could be actually. Yes.
Like in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Oh, start crying now.
But oh God.
Is Brooklyn, is that the Saoirse Ronan one?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I saw a trailer for it and it genuinely looked like girl goes to America, girl misses home, girl goes home. That's what the trailer made it look like.
So good.
Right,
it's
okay.
A really good film.
Oh, it is. It's brilliant. Yeah, it's like Colin Tobin. He's a fantastic writer. Like,
right.
Story is brilliant. The characters are amazing. The acting is good. It's a fabulous looking film.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I must. I must watch it. Yeah. See, I genuinely try not to pirate films. So I have to wait for them to come out on like the free services, like the Netflix. Well, not free, but like the Netflix.
The ones that you do pay for.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Because I can't afford to go to the cinema every day. Too poor. I'm a starving artist.
It's just around the corner there.
I know, that's the most annoying thing. It's literally about 100 metres away. So but they also, on the trolley, they packed a rake by the looks of things. Like
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
it looks like a giant wooden hand.
Yeah.
It looks like a skeleton's hand.
That's what I thought. It was like, why has it got to this big massive, like, Nightmare on Elm Street sort of looking thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, it looked like a rake, I think. But they would never get that on through customs these days, like.
Well, definitely not these days.
It's different to those.
TSA wouldn't let that anywhere near them.
It's pre 9/11.
Yeah. But then we have the closing montage. Not a dry eye in the house. And they went backwards through each episode of the whole series.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't have known that at all.
I wouldn't have known that either.
I think I did read that somewhere before, but when I watched it, it was like, okay, that was before that, and that was before that.
Yeah.
But it didn't even pick some of the best parts out of the episodes.
No, that's what I was thinking. So I presume they must have skipped some because I was like, oh, there's loads of favourite moments that just aren't in it.
Yeah, and like sometimes it wasn't even Ted or Dougal or Miss Doyle in the clip, but it did just show you how much they've actually packed into the show.
Seeing the sheep on the boat and seeing them like suspended on the bench in like the middle of the air and Len Brennan getting kicked up the arse
But they must have not been planning to do any more because you would never do a montage at the end of a series like that unless, like you said, there's the bit when they're leaving the house. But fair enough, they do end up going back.
Yeah.
Or like they end up having to go back to the house. But then there's the montage, so it definitely had a real sense of finality.
Yeah, exactly. See, the end of series 1, there was sort of the idea that Ted was leaving, but he didn't actually leave. Whereas this one, it felt much more like they're all leaving, they're leaving for good. But they've gone on record a few times and said we'd never intended to go past 3 series, and like going through the podcast, like it was in danger of getting tired. Like
it was.
This third series, there's a few dud episodes, and the priest characters are like when they stopped using priest characters. That's when they got their better guest roles. Whereas the priest characters were a bit more. They weren't quite as interesting or as funny.
I
didn't think this was one of the great episodes.
No, I don't think so either. I think there's some like good. There's definitely some good lines in there.
There always are.
And it is poignant because of the fact that you know that it is what it is. But there are some much funnier ones.
Yeah, well, the episode I just released today, about half an hour before you came through the door, actually, was the Owen McLove episode, and that's untouchable. And the Eurovision episode and the Pat Mustard episode and
the Golden Cleric. It's my favourite.
Well, that's the Christmas episode, so I haven't done that one yet, so I'll be doing...
well, I'm really looking forward to coming back to do that one.
Alright, cool, yes.
Yeah. Seeing as was my favourite.
Brilliant, and we can chat more about Elf then as well. But yeah, no, it's... But I haven't seen this episode in absolute years. You said you hadn't actually seen it before. Had you seen it before?
This one?
I thought I hadn't because I didn't really remember it, and having watched it again, I think I probably had seen it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's not quite as memorable.
But I just think it was because it was just James was like, oh, the one with the suicidal priest, and I was like, nope. Just don't remember it. So I thought, oh well, but you know the way, like years ago when I thought I'd seen all the Friends about 15 times, then one time you just see an episode and you go, I actually never saw that one before. I don't know how I managed to, because I never watched them one by one. There was no box set. I just watched them when they were on the telly.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Like, when Father Ted was out, like out first, and it was like whatever 9:30 or 9 on, or was it even 10 on Channel 4 on Friday?
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe it was 9:30. And like, or maybe it was Friends on at 9 and then Father Ted was on at 9:30, something like that. Like, can you remember?
Friends on Friday night. That's right as well.
Can you remember if you watched Father Ted as it was going out?
No, I don't think I did.
Did you not know?
I don't think so, because I think I was in college, so I was always out at the time it was on. So I saw it in repeats and videos and.
Well, yeah, that's what I didn't get. It was great for us because I was too young to go out. So
yeah, because I remember it was a bit of a like a Friday night ritual with my brother. Like he would usually be babysitting me, and we would watch it on a Friday night.
Yeah, Friends, and then there was something else.
Friends, and then Father Ted.
Yeah, but like that was Channel 4's flagship show, and plus their biggest import, and they stuck on Friday night when surely their total target audience would be out drinking, like we would have thought, like.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they do.
Because RTE had Friends at the same time, and they put it on Monday night, which was.
Yeah, but I suppose like you think about it, and like there's those big chat shows that are on Friday and Saturday nights. That's
like Alan Carr, Charlie Mann is on Friday night.
Yeah,
Graham Norton's on Friday night.
Jonathan Ross on Saturday night. Those are the going out nights, but they're also big TV nights as well.
Really, right? Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I guess they are. Yeah, but you think like. The audience that there would be
well, like I mean I was the audience that they were aiming for, and I didn't watch it very often at the time that it went out because I was out.
Yeah, exactly. And you didn't have catch-up services back then, so you missed it. But
because it was Father Ted and because everybody loved it, it was Channel 4, so they repeated a lot of stuff, and everybody had the videos of Father Ted.
Yes, yeah.
The video cassettes, like, as I remember, like everybody's house that you'd go to would have them there. I think that Christmas after it came out, everybody bought them.
But like me and Cathal recorded them as well and just watched them. So like,
there was that too. But I just remember everybody having those. I feel like that, like everybody in Ireland bought them for Christmas. I think after it came out.
Like on-demand services are amazing now, though. The way you can just like go on to whatever portal it is, and I mean, even like the one that we watched this on, I would never usually dip in, and I was kind of like, whoa, look at how much is available.
Loads on all four, like loads of classic like Channel 4 dramas and stuff.
The clues in the name.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
All four.
Well, I think 4OD was a better name.
4OD was a better name. I can never remember the name of it.
Yeah, all four is too generic or something. But I do remember, like I wasn't looking forward to this episode because I thought it wasn't as funny. I actually thought it was funnier having watched it than I remember it being. You know what I mean? So it sort of won me back. The guy playing the American priest was Cagney. I didn't like his performance. I thought it was just too
hammy.
Not hammy, but
there was nothing special about it.
Yeah, well, not even that. It was just too wooden or something. Or it was
like he played the part of the character well, but he didn't make you laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There was.
He just did the job he had to do.
But I felt the same about Tommy Tiernan's performance. I thought you've got Tommy Tiernan in this episode, and I don't know. I just think that maybe the thing of doing a sitcom about suicide isn't really. It's just not really very funny. I thought there was a lot of stuff in it where you're like, Tommy Tiernan is here, and there's all these things that he can, but because he's this depressed priest. You can only like so there was the joke of Shaft with Ted dancing around, but Tommy Tiernan's not doing anything, and I just felt like, God, you've got Tommy Tiernan in this, that you're not making any use of it. Really,
you could have picked that one from central casting sort of thing.
There was the one bit, like you said, and that you needed somebody good to do that. But I just thought, I don't know. I just thought it didn't. I don't think they really brought it off.
They didn't utilize him.
But just the whole idea of doing an episode about depression, it didn't really work for me.
It's kind of like they made it difficult for themselves.
Yeah,
to have a big finale episode that's memorable, and then to try and do depression and suicide.
It's a suicide one as well.
But I mean, like, it's not like a moralising campaign piece or anything like that, and it never would have been. But I mean, it's the argument that
Well, you say it was a moralising thing. I actually noticed this time that this is the very sharpest they've ever been with their satire against the church. It's very what I've written is very biting satire of the church's business-like attitude, especially when he chats about money and he chats about expanding into new markets and stuff, and even the conference itself where he was like scouting out the next recruit and everything. Usually their satire was very very it was spongy, and that it gave you enough information to make it your own mind up rather than sort of hit you over the head with it, whereas this one was a bit more sort of on the nose. So whether they felt like they had to sort of
get that done before the end,
head it out to the park in the last episode. But yeah, I mean, they did try and share the episode with two stories, which they didn't really do before, as in like that Ted was sort of dividing his loyalties between Father Kevin and Father Buzz Cagney, whereas usually Ted would deal with one, and if there was a second priest, one of the other characters would be dealing with them. So there's that as well. But it was genuinely funnier than I remember. Like, I laughed a lot more than I remember doing. But there was a few pages of padding as well. And it was a solid episode, but not spectacular. It'll not be in my top 5.
There you go.
It's basically a roundup. And I suppose you're of the same opinion.
I definitely, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Well, yeah. I did want to bring up Tommy Tiernan. That there's a wee factoid. You both probably know this, but in case listeners don't, he went to the same school as Dylan Moran, and he in St. Pat's in Navan.
I think I did know that.
And Hector O'Huckagon.
Yes, Gigi Caher.
And Today FM DJ.
Oh, really? Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And Colm O'Rourke, GAA stalwart. Yeah. So it's very, very. My cousin went there. It's very high performing school. He's way over in Canada now doing some engineering or something.
And he's your cousin.
He's my cousin.
So he started off already with a feather in his cap.
Well, exactly. Yeah. It's it was just part of my the halo of,
the McAnespy glow.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that was our episode, and that was our series. That was Father Ted. Did you notice if Dermot was sick over the course of it? Because I was actually looking out to see if there was any, because like it was literally 2 days after he had finished filming this is when he collapsed. But it didn't look like.
It was a heart attack, was it?
Apparently he was sick on set,
but
he was managed to keep it quiet. Nobody, they thought he was just had a bad flu or something. Right. But they thought,
no, I think his energy looked really good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
the dance and everything.
Exactly, and that was the one I was actually going to pick out. It didn't look like he was, just about to keel over, and that was 2 days after they finished, and they had to push everything back and everything. Really sad, but yeah.
So sad.
Oh yeah, definitely. God, he's such a brilliant talent.
Exactly, yeah, and there was a documentary about how he was, knocking on the door for ages around sort of the Dublin media scene, and he was just desperate for someone to hit big, and at least he got it in the end, and he'd always been known for it.
But before that he did Scrap Saturday, so he was already very big in like.
Well,
in the South.
Yeah, but still, I mean.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of the stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, we would have.
You're right.
Yeah. He would have been very
Scrap Saturday was a big radio program, political satire, and
it was very, very funny. And he was one of the main voices on it.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously he was doing lots of different voices, but you kind of, you would know which ones were Dermot Moore.
Right.
And there'd be other sort of like parody characters that he would do, like Father, like what is his name, like Father Trendy, like he was a caricature of like Father Brian Darcy, you know that.
He does a column in the Sunday World.
Yeah, and he
does a
radio.
Like
BBC radio programs, and he's a great pal of Terry Wogan and that. So
right,
we know, like he's like a radio
media priest.
Yeah, exactly.
Media priest.
And then
totally, that's a thing.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Well, there's always ones that have the sort of showbiz sort of element to it. Mm-hmm. Every so often, I went to a Christian Brothers school. Every so often, they would invite different priests from different places, and there was one the rapping was he a rabbi? Well, I didn't actually go to it out of big-headed teenage rebellion.
Defiance, yeah.
But they're all saying about this rapping rabbi who had a full robes and stuff on, big beard, big long hair and stuff, was able to throw down the beats, and they all loved it the next day. So they always have one with a bit of showmanship too. But yeah, so thank you very much for coming down.
Oh, it's a
Thanks
pleasure.
for having us.
Sunday evening.
Good chat.
Yes. Well, our listeners can find us on Ecumenical Matters, facebook.com/Ecumenical Matters. I'm on Twitter at James I. McAnespy. Can they find you anywhere?
I'm at D Harvey
Harvey
on Twitter.
And I'm at McG Squints on Twitter.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for tuning in, and bless you.
Take off.